Okay, so this is going to be my first time filming one of these videos, which I'm going to call like motivational, inspirational, thought provoking. It's the kind of conversations that I have with my friends that have allowed me to grow emotionally, spiritually, professionally to different levels. And it just comes across a lot in other people who are, we call them evolved people, people who are seeking information to better their life and not to worsen their life. So, with that being said, I am a kind of person that can qualify myself. Some people don't like when you qualify yourself by saying like, "Oh, I'm nice," or "I'm honest," or "I'm genuine." And to those people, I say those are the ones that are not convinced as to who they are. Because I am convinced as to who I am, I can always say that I am not the kind of person to try to bash nor demean people. I am the kind of person that loves education, that loves intellect, and that loves climbing higher, even more so above all spiritually, so that I can maintain a spirit of peace, of calm, and of progress. That's all these videos are about. It is not to try to change anyone, because I only believe that change comes from personal conviction that comes higher than you and from within you as well. It doesn't really come from the outside sources. But sometimes it helps just to have a conversation and to have positive information, because with so much negative stuff out there, what's wrong with a little bit of positive thrown in? So this is my first video, so that's like my long disclaimer that I will never ever make again unless I see fit. So let's not say never ever. So with this being said, this is inspired by things that are going on in my current life. And I find myself, because I do have a little bit more joy about me lately, a little bit more pep in myself. I find myself getting so irritated, and I mean instantly irate. I can be calm, singing down the street, and all of a sudden, something will happen. Someone will say something to me, or text me, or just do something, and I get absolutely angry. And one of those things, I will say, it's about complaining or bashing, or just what people call like negative energy. And let's go ahead and define what negative energy is. Negative energy is anything that brings you down or makes you feel less or withdrawn, and my favorite word is exhausted. I was fine before I spoke to you. Now I feel like you did not put into me, but you actually, like that exhaust on the back of the car, you actually just pulled this smoke and this steam out, and I needed to recycle that and use that in other areas of my life. So that's what I'm going to call it. When people exhaust me, it makes me instantly angry, and the number one thing it is, it's about being in the wilderness. Now, wilderness, we've all heard, especially like if you're a Christian and you go to church and things like that. But when I Googled it online, it said that the wilderness or is a wild land in a natural environment on earth that has not been significantly modified by civilized human activity. I like that last part, not significantly modified by civilized human activity, because the first thing that makes me think of is cultivation. It's all about cultivating. A wilderness is a place where the garden is unkept, where everything just runs rampant, wild, and free. And when you take that outside of like the wildlife and the physical wilderness, most of the wilderness that we encounter in America, if it's not our health, it's up here. It's our mindset. It's how we think about money. It's how we think about our jobs. It's how we think about our relationship. That's our wilderness. Those are the areas that we allow to run rampant in our life. That's why we'll sit there, some of us will sit there and watch trash on TV for hours, and other of us can say, I don't even watch television. So funny, true story. Yesterday, me and my friend, we were sitting out just having brunch, and I love good food, and I go to places because that's what I like. That's what I cultivate in my life. I like good food, I like good company, I like face to face, and I like intellect. So if those things can intermingle, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go for it. So I was out there with a friend, and we kind of agree on that aspect. She's a little bit different than me, but to make a long story short, there was a reality star from the Bravo network in the place at the bar eating like a regular person. A lot of those people come to Houston because it's like a secondary market, and I've seen more than one of them just out like regular nothing. But it was amazing to me that nobody in the place recognized who that was, right? They had like some Houston Rockets player. I don't know who the Rockets are. I don't know if they're baseball, football, whatever, because that's not what I'm cultivating in my life, right? If you do not cultivate certain things in your life, you don't even have the acknowledgement or the awareness of what it is. And for me, it's all about awareness first. Just like when people go to those AA meetings or give powerful testimonies or just give like motivational speaking, the thing about it is it's like when they're down and out and they don't think they have anything else, something in them happens and that they're able to accomplish this great feat, or they're able to come off drugs, or they're able to just succeed like they've never been able to succeed before. And that's because they come to a place of awareness in their mind that it's outside of their normal mind. And with that being said, you have to acknowledge if there's an awareness out there that you have yet to tap into. Be very careful about what your mind is currently tapping into and what areas that you're leaving uncultivated. I think that all of your awareness, all of your thinking, everything, even if you've never been to Europe, you can cultivate your life as a European right here in America. I mean, you can eat baguettes, you can drink espresso, you can have, and I said Europe, not just Paris, you can have an Italian leather couch, you can carry a French bag. You don't have to go to Paris or go to Italy to cultivate your mind into that culture. So I do not agree with a lot of different things in the media um, that tries to steer our way of thinking or cultivating for us, putting inside of our culture what is important and what is of value. And going back to why I really want to film this video, being a person of convictions and principles. When you're really a person of conviction, principle, and awareness, you can pick and choose the wilderness that you go into. We're always going to have a wilderness. And this is something that really came into my mind today as I was so frustrated and I was so angry, and I was listening to somebody complain to me like they have complained to me for the last 7 years, and I just got so mad about it. It just instantly fired me up because I'm like, this person must realize that they're in the wilderness. They're complaining about something so simple as their job, but the problem is they have not groomed themselves. They have not pruned themselves. They have not peeled anything back or took any steps further to say, I am going to get out of this because this is a problem for me. Instead, they choose to complain and try to prove themselves. I do not believe that elevation comes from yourself. I don't believe that. That is not a principle that I have. I believe that all elevation comes from something higher and also comes from hard work and always allowing other people to think that they're better than you while you do the better job, not seeking approval or accolades at all. I stand by that. That's why in a lot of cases I am able to go above the drama and always to be pinpointing on intent, motivation, and motives. When people are complaining or even criticizing, I'm looking for the intent. Are you coming in love? Are you coming because you love me? Are you coming because you want to help me? Are you coming to tear me down? And then what's your motivation? What was your catalyst? What incident happened that made this the moment for you to express yourself? And see, that takes a level of awareness. That takes a level of evolution, that I'm not going to do anything without first thinking about my intent, my motivation, and then my motive behind it. Like, I'm just not going to go out here and go off the deep end. I'm not saying that I have never done that. And I think because I had done that so many times in the past when I was young, that's why I am so in tune to that area. Last night I was having a fight with somebody and they got so mad at me and they were like, well, who made you judge and jury? And that's always people's thing, to like shut you down and make you shut up. And I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I said, I'm not judge and jury, but I am speaking from experience. My life experience has shaped me to be the person that I am. And one thing that I know that is so important is principles, and being aware of what your principles are and what your personal convictions are. These are the things that are required for me. These things may not be required from you. I'm not upset with you if you do not require them, but you cannot come into my environment and create a wilderness. Neither will I step into wilderness that I do not feel equipped energized or have the grace to battle. Every wilderness, every garden is not for everybody. Like I can come out here and I live in an apartment with a potted plant, and you know what? That may be too much for me. But maybe if they're volunteering across the park and somebody else has all the seeds and all the feeds and all the tools and can direct me, I can deal with that, but I can't deal with my own potted plant. But because I am aware of what I can deal with, I can choose what tasks I can tackle and how I'm going to tackle them. I do have a very big personality. I will shut people down at the gate. Years ago, I used to curse people out. I'm getting over cursing people out, but I do know how to jab and stab, as I call it. You will not make me feel like I am a weak flower. If I am peaceful and if I am calm, I know that is nothing but God. That's nothing but a higher power in me, working through me to tell me to be peaceful and to open my ear and to listen. So just more like about the wilderness, because I get so mad when people just sit up there and just complain all day, and it's almost like you can't get away from complaining. And basically what I ended up telling the person, because they were a Christian, they are a Christian, I should say, and they do go to church every Sunday, and then they say that they believe and everything like that. But how can you believe if you complain about your job every single day? Now, you're not filling out any new applications. You're not taking any classes whatsoever. You don't have a degree. You're not trying to get a technical vocation. You're just complaining about everybody and how they treat you and how they feel towards you. And this person feels that I do not understand where they're coming from when I say it's not that big of a deal. That's not what you get paid for. There's no itemization on your paycheck that says these are your wages for hating your job, complaining about your job, or telling your friends and family about all the things you don't like about this job when you're clocked off. There's no, how do you quantify that in your life? How do you cultivate that into your life? And if you're not cultivating it, isn't that then therefore a wilderness in your life that you are allowing? And like I said about the wilderness, is that we're all going to have a wilderness. But why would I want to have the misery of a job to be my wilderness when there's like 50 million jobs in America that I could possess? So I just asked this person, like, seriously, like, do you not realize that you're in a wilderness? Yeah, duh, 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 duh. And then I just did my own little research or whatever, and I found in Deuteronomy 8, 2 through 3, and I only like the King James Version, when it talks about the wilderness, and it says, "And thou shalt remember all the ways which the Lord God led thee 40 years in the wilderness." And this was after they were freed from Egypt, how the people wandered for 40 years in the wilderness when they were promised to see the land of their homeland, Canaan, the land of milk and honey. They were promised to see this. I could go so on with this, and I don't want to make this video to be too long, but it's just like so many topics in it. It's like, and it says, okay, "And thou shalt remember all the ways which the Lord thy God led these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee and to know what is in thine heart, wherever thou wouldest keep his commandments or no." Meaning whether you would keep his commandments or not, whether you would stick to the principles or not. And it doesn't have to be God, and it doesn't have to be the Bible, but I definitely absolutely believe that we are tested in our life, in our relationships, at our workplace, with our health, to see if we are who we say we are, if we are a person without conviction or with conviction. And if you are a person without conviction, when these hard things do come upon you and you are in the wilderness, then you have to kind of decide right there on the fly, how are you going to prune these bushes back and make this something that you want to deal with? But Deuteronomy goes on to say in the third verse, 8th chapter, 3rd verse, "And he humbled thee and suffered to thee and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, nor did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live by." So it's up to people to choose what they live by. So if they don't want to live by whatever their faith is, um, if they don't want to live by conviction, if they don't want to live by personal principle, then what do they think is going to happen? Like, that's my main question when people come to me with complaints, or even within myself when I start to complain. And I do complain, everybody does. But because I have a new sense of awareness, a complaint to me is like an alert. An alert. There's something that I cannot deal with. There's something that I cannot solve or resolve on my own, and I'm seeking help. A lot of times you complain and complain and complain because you're seeking an answer, you're seeking help. And unfortunately, the very people that can help you, they demotivate you, or they tell you to get up, or they tell you, well, I don't know what to tell you, or what do you think? Or I mean, they just basically, they just shrug you off because perhaps, not perhaps, this is what I know, a lot of times you'll have an issue, let's just call it a job or let's just call it a marriage, and you know that a person struggled in this very same area in their life, a job or a marriage, and they will never share their story. They will never tell you how they rose to success or how do they still deal with it every single day. And what I know for a fact, they're afraid to say it because they don't know how they do it. They feel like, man, if they start trying to give you the blueprint, that they might faint. So it takes a level of strength and a level of boldness about being able to confess who you are, what your principles are, what you're standing for, and an awareness about what your wilderness is in your life, or you can call them shortcomings. And it's not a bad thing to acknowledge it, because you know what the best thing about acknowledging it is? When you acknowledge it, no one can ever use it against you. Even if, I don't care what truths people know about me, I absolutely care not. Because I like how TD Jake says it, who I was when is left back then. People get so lost into remembering you as they met you, as who you were, and they realize that everything changes. The day changes. It could be sunny today and it could rain this afternoon. It's going to be morning and then it's going to be night. If the day changes, how can we as people not change? And if you keep thinking of people as who they were back when and back then, you're missing the most valuable part of people. That's the present of who they are now. It's never about who you were in the past, because that can all be hidden away. I never have to tell anybody a full story about my whole past. Never, never, never. How are you gonna find it? You're gonna Google me. You're gonna research my deep, dirty, nasty skeletons. Well, good for you, but most of them are not on Google anyway. So, I could hide that. But for me, I don't have to hide it. But because I acknowledge it and I'm aware of it, it can never make me feel less than or worse off or in danger. And that's a very valuable thing when you live with principles. I don't have to sit there and complain to you for 30 days, because I've done that in the past about different situations in my life. Neither do I have to have the same arguments that I had 10 years ago or even 10 months ago, because I've done that before and I'm aware now, right? I'm conscious that that was an area that did not get resolved, that did not get finished. And I am also conscious that I cannot finish everything in a day, in a night, in a year, or a decade. There are certain things, we could take it as basic as student loans. There is no way I can pay off my student loans this year. No way possible. I don't even see how I'm going to pay off my student loans in the next like 5 years. But I don't want to be walking around carrying this burden on me for the next 10 years. But I've got things in my life that have went on for like now going on decades, unresolved relationships. And I would say it's not that I don't care, but I cannot care. And that's also how I feel when it concerns complaining about your job and your relationships and things like that. Sometimes you cannot care when things have no value. If things have no value, why are you caring? Are you caring out of love? Once again, that goes back to the awareness of intent. Are you caring out of love? Are you caring out of help? Are you caring out of intellect, where you want to better yourself through this caring of things that have no value. So I think I said so much in this video and I could go on and on about it, but I didn't even want it to go over 10 minutes. So bye y'all. That's all for now. Leave your comments below. Bye.